Howdy peeps, today we are live streaming from the DC Singles Conference in beautiful Arlington, Virginia. And we're going to talk about, well, I plan to talk about like growing singles groups, and we'll do that. But I'll also give you like a halftime report for what's going on with the conference so far. Join the Journey Radio starts right now.
Welcome to the infusion of positive energy into the lives of single Latter-day Saints everywhere. This is Joy in the Journey Radio.
And welcome back, peeps, to another wonderful, splendiferous, joyous episode of Join the Journey Radio. I'm Lance, your host for Join the Journey Radio, and this is episode, I can't even figure the number. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Episode number 390, Growing LDS Singles Groups. So if you're in the live stream today, please jump in the chat. Let us know where you're viewing the program from. If you're not, then I guess I know where you are at. So let's just have a little conversation here for a moment about the DC conference. I am actually at the DC conference, which, score so far, it's like kind of mixed reviews. And I say that because yesterday was not so. They had these dinner groups signed up and built up, and so I was actually pretty excited about that. But can drive all this way and um, just come all this way, and then to find that the restaurant didn't even know about the reservation, and there was nobody there, and it was just kind of really really disappointing. So that's that's not that great. And then they had this like sort of mixer thing, which I guess if you're kind of up on your social skills, but I just kind of looked around and was just kind of observing things, because there was actually some of the Marco Polo conversations that were going on before the actual conference leading up to it. There was this comment that some of the organizers were making about how there was going to be like individualized attention, that we were going to minister to the one. Sounds great, and it's kind of in line with, what I've been saying here on the program. But, last night, what I observed was something very different. And I was actually standing back and just kind of observing everyone around me and just kind of seeing who's doing what's going on. And what I observed is that people look like they were kind of sticking to their own little groups. I know it can be challenging to step outside the comfort zone, but there were some people who were just kind of wandering around. It looked like they were lost. It looked like some of these people were coming here expecting to find connection and not really receiving it. So, my heart went out to them, and I remember I was standing there just looking around at everybody, and I had a little prayer in my heart saying, Heavenly Father, please help me see these people as you see them. And in that moment, my eyes were opened, and I began to see my spiritual brothers and sisters. And I saw the joy that some of them have because their needs are being met. And I saw the pain that others of them are having because their needs are not being met. And I thought to myself, what can I do to help alleviate this? And right at that moment, a friend of mine came by and said, you have to help me with this thing I'm putting on, because she's part of the organizing team. Because she's a friend, I was just like, I want to help you, but I'm doing what you told me to do earlier, which is talk to people, make new friends. And now you want me to go do this other thing. So yeah, just kind of not. But I didn't sleep very well at all last night, because I'm so concerned about people who travel long distances to try to get needs met, and then they come here and they're so incredibly disappointed, and I was disappointed. I mean, I'm not from that far away, but How often do I get the chance to share a meal with, other people in my demographic? Most of the time I'm eating by myself, and then I make all the sacrifice to come here, and there's nothing. Everything just falls apart. Yeah, I could see how that would be disappointing to some people. Um, so, yeah, everything eventually, is going to work out great. I said I had mixed feelings, so there's going to be a positive coming, right? And the positive is I just had this really fascinating conversation with the CEO of Mingle, and it just we really hit it off. I was kind of leading him into this whole thing of, hey, would you like to come on the program? And he beat me to the punch and actually offered himself up. So um, be on the lookout for that. I am going to have the CEO of Mingle up on the program in a future episode, and we're going to talk about online dating in general and his dating application in particular. So there is that. So yeah, so I'm totally stoked about that. So it kind of balances out the, really poor day I had yesterday. So, the end result is I got mixed feelings about it. So we'll see what the rest of the day brings. There's lots of people eating lunch right now. It's kind of the noise you hear in the background. I kind of got my camera pulled away a little bit because I know some people don't like being on camera. And so I'm trying to be respectful of people who may, have that sort of disposition about them. But I did want to keep to the schedule. We are scheduled to have a broadcast, today at noon. So, and I was a little bit late because, I was having this fascinating conversation with the Mingle guy. So, um, yeah, so look for that in a future episode of the program. So now let's get into, what I wanted to talk about today. I was actually hoping that there would be some people, because I've had some conversations again through Marco Polo leading up to the conference event today. And I was hoping to get some people who were really interested in this conversation of how do we grow singles groups in our local geographic stakes, because there's a lot of people out there that you know they're feeling lost. They don't have the support that they need. Um, and so, I was hoping to get, at least a couple of them together so that they could figure out, you know, um, give them some ideas to think about as, they go back home to, wherever they're from, and try to grow the singles groups, in their own home stakes. Since they're not here, I'll just say I'm just gonna have the program later. You can watch the video, and I'd be willing to like have a sit down one-on-one with you. And I'll just make this offer for anyone out there who's, listening to the program today. If you want me to sit down with you and let's do a little one-on-one counseling session about how you can grow the singles group in your particular stake. How can you overcome the challenges that you're facing? I'll make that offer to you as well, because that's what this whole thing is about. It's about helping other people grow and thrive during their single years. So here's where I'm coming from. So my background with this is, many years ago, I was actually a state single adult rep. And there was a particular year that I decided, what, we're going to do things differently here. And, when I started doing things differently, there were 3 people, count 1, 2, 3 people attending singles activities regularly that the stake was putting on. And we were doing something like once a month. Well, after, a year of going through all of this programming stuff, then, we had 30 people who were coming regularly to our activities. So in 1 year, we had 10x growth. And what I want to talk about today on the program is how did we achieve that 10x growth? Are there things that you can use in your own home stakes so that you can actually grow and get something more going on, so you actually help people meet their needs? So there's basically 2 things that you're going to need to have in line. The first is you need to have support from the stake leadership. If you don't have support from the stake leadership, the climb uphill is way steeper, because everything in this church is top down. So when leadership signs on, people generally are more inclined to fall in line, right? That's important because the second item that you're going to need in order to grow and get that 10x growth is you got to help people come to a different place in their thinking about what it means to be single and how they interact with other singles. Here's what I mean by that. So last week on the program, in preparation for the conference, I was talking about the three different things the three different attitudes that singles typically have when they attend an activity, right? You remember this. There's the dating club, there's the dating forum, the activity club, and then there's the support network, which is really what we want to build a community of support, right? It's that third attitude that you need to inculcate amongst the singles. And the way I worked it was I, as a stake rep, was ministering directly to help the ward stake reps to get this mindset about them, that it's not about you, it's about the community that we're creating together. And we really need to be looking out for one another, right? So I was ministering to about maybe like 5 people, right? Then those 5 people go and minister to the singles that are active in their individual wards. So, they're ministering to about like 4 to 6 people each. And so, you know, over the course of time, when you're focusing on meeting people's needs and bringing everybody in, that's another part of the mindset that you need to inculcate, right? I'll tell you a story. So years ago, when I moved to Seattle to be in the mid-singles ward that was there, I was joining up, and after a couple of months, the bishop called me into his office, and he was like, "I just wanted to check on you and see how you're doing with, because you joined the ward, and I just want to see how you're doing with the ward, what your experience is like." And I was telling him about my experience, how I didn't really feel like I was welcomed, I was more tolerated, and people weren't really connecting, and it was just kind of on the outside. And he's like, "Oh, so you describe it as a clique?" I was like, "No, I would describe it as normal." And you could see by the look on his face when I said that he was not expecting that response. And so he leaned in a little bit and he said, "Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Why would you call that normal?" And I said, "Here's the thing, right? So normal people have needs for sociality, right? Because it's part of being human, right? Everyone's got a different need though, right? So it's a different size cup that you're filling. So some people's need are so small that it's like a shot glass. A little goes a long way with these people. There are other people that need more sociality. So they're like the 72-ounce, big gulp from 7-Elevens, let's say. And there are other people who still need more sociality, and their need is like the size of a tanker truck, transporting oil or whatever down the highway. So people have different needs, but no matter what the size of your cup is, normal people will stop filling the cup when it's full. And that's all that's going on here. You've got a core group of people who are getting all their needs met because they're associating with everyone that's in that core group. So that the core group they're all feeding their own needs. And then everyone else is dancing around the periphery, trying to get the need for connection and sociality that they need to be met. And they're struggling with it. And so that's where that cliquish perception comes off of. But it's just people acting normal. And my bishop, he kind of leaned back in his chair, thought about it for a little bit. He's like, that makes a lot of sense. you know so in order to get the 10x growth, right, part of the mindset that you've got to inculcate within the singles within your stake is we've got to be very conscious about this, and you got to talk about it directly from the first, like get your vision out from the front, right, and say we need to act against the natural inclination to stop looking for social connections when our needs are met. We need to be making friends when we think we have enough. We just need to be adding people in. Just keep adding people in and helping them to feel loved and needed and understood and known. And that's the ministering that you're doing with individual people and getting them on that mindset of our goal is to help everyone minister to everybody else. Now, it takes time to change people's mind and the way that they think, right? But we were persistent in a kind, gentle, loving way. And over time, people responded to love. People responded to connection. And we were able to grow 10x in 1 year. So that's pretty much how that went off. Okay. So I look and see we have here as far as, okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat, so we're gonna, yeah. So yeah, I'm getting the boot here. So I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. So we'll go ahead and kind of wrap this up. But that's basically the program. And again, if you need like specific help with understanding like how to put this program into place in your particular home stake, please reach out, leave a comment down below, or go to the website, jointhejrradio.com /contact. There's a contact form on the page that you can use to send us, a message to say, hey, I'd like some help. This is what I'm doing. And, I'll reach out and get back to you because, this is a problem everywhere. And we really need to we need to not wait, right? Like if you don't have that first ingredient of leadership support, I'm going to say go with it anyway, because it's a harder climb uphill, but there's so much pain out there that needs to be resolved. And we have the power to help resolve that pain. So we really need to be more active and engaged and more outwardly focused to helping one another. So that's pretty much all I got for you today, peeps. So hopefully I was able to share with you something that's helpful. If you have something that you'd like to say about the program today, please, leave a comment down below. If you have something else that you like the program to focus on, a different topic, then please again leave the program down below. If there's something that we could help you with, just leave a comment down below. That helps us with the algorithms and takes the content that we have that's helpful being pushed out to other people. So again, thank you all for participating today, and until next time, this is your host reminding you there is joy to be had all along your journey. So take that joy and journey on.